Ilia Topuria, El Matador, has done it once again for La España. But not just Spain, for Georgia and Germany as well. Guys, Ilia Topuria, he's cracked into this top 10 with Extreme Violence and now into the top 5 with Extreme Violence once again. And we keep making the same note of that he's good everywhere. Well, we're going to talk about just how good he is after this win against Josh Emmett and more about this whole card in general. But first, I want to know, how are you guys doing today? I really do hope that you are doing well. Welcome back to the Wade MMA Talk Show, the daily series where I give you my thoughts, but more importantly, ask for your thoughts on everything going on in the MMA community today. On this channel, we post fight reactions, pre and post fight breakdowns, MMA documentary style videos, and more. And if you're looking forward to daily MMA content, then go ahead and give this video a thumbs up, but also you're more than welcome to subscribe. However, with that being said, let's get right into the video. Real quick, before I get into the main event of Ilia Topuria versus Josh Emmett, I'm going to talk about all the fights leading up to that fight. I'm going to give just a real quick recap of the event as a whole, and then I'll get into my breakdown of Ilia Topuria versus Josh Emmett and why I think it went the way it did. So the first fight I want to talk about is Chepe Mariscal versus Trevor Peek. For one, I don't know how this Trevor Peek was in the UFC. I don't know, was this his debut? This was his second fight in the UFC. I guess his first one, because it was a first round knockout, obviously they kept him in the UFC, but the guy, it seems like he has a lot of work to do just on a technical basis. He kind of just throws every shot as hard as he can, and if he can't get the guy out of there, he's gonna gas out, and that's what Mariscal was able to show. So Mariscal ended up getting the victory. To be honest, I feel like he should have finished him a couple of times, but he played it safe. He got a decision win, and good for him. The next fight I wanted to talk about was Joshua Van, actually a Houston native. Okay, not Houston native, he is Burmese, but he has fought in Fury FC, one of the biggest promotions in Houston in all of Texas, and he was their 125-pound champion. He was scheduled to fight on the Contender Series, however took this fight on a week's notice and beat Zhalgas Zhumagulov. Now Zhumagulov is like 1-5 in the UFC, so not to say that his matchup was easy, but to say that this was going to show if he belonged. It was a good first fight for him to see if he belonged in the UFC, and you can say that he does belong. Now, I would want to see more time in between his next fight and this one, just to see that growth from that first UFC paycheck and from that first experience being in the UFC octagon with all the fans and everything that goes into that UFC debut. I wonder if they're still going to do that Contender Series fight with him. Maybe they will, maybe they won't. He kind of just proved he belongs in the UFC, so hopefully they just give him a contract off of that, but we'll see where they go from here on out. Joshua Van, guys, Fearless is one to stay on the lookout for. Next, Tabitha Ricci defeated Jillian Robertson. Jillian just, not that it didn't seem like she came to fight, it just seemed like she was a step behind. It looked like she wanted to work on her striking a little bit more this time, just because she was going against another black belt, another good jiu-jitsu practitioner. And you kind of saw that when Jillian did get her down, Tabitha just ended up attacking, getting back to her feet, trying to go for a takedown of her own. She was very confident in that department, and it just seemed like Tabitha was just a more well-rounded mixed martial artist. If Jillian Robertson is going to want to continue to compete in this strawweight division, which I thought she moved up to flyweight, but if she's going to continue to compete in this strawweight division, she's going to need to learn how to use her size a little bit more. I felt like a lot of times she could have been throwing like head kicks just on their guard to get them to back up or respect their range, or get them to stop circling out so much and being on the move so fast, because she was clearly the slower fighter in that division. I think her best division will be flyweight. I thought that that's what she was fighting at, but a lot of these girls are moving up and down, so it's kind of hard to keep track of where they're at. However, it was a good win for Tabitha Ricci. She was able to stay on the outside, defend everything that came her way, attack where she needed to, even if it wasn't getting a knockout or putting enough power behind her shots to do so. But she got the win, and that's all you can ask for. Randy Brown got a hard-fought win against Wellington Thurman. To be honest, I thought that Wellington Thurman might have gotten that one just because of the way Randy Brown's face was looking, and you know, the damage is what the judges are looking for. However, Randy Brown got it done, and you know, it is what it is. I kind of wanted to see him win anyways, just because he's been in this division for a while. They both have, but he's been one of the guys I've been wanting to see take that next step forward into the top 15 and to really show his class. So congrats to Randy Brown. Philip Rowe lost to Neil Magny. Neil somehow just finds a way to stay alive into this division and to keep fighting and keep being that mediator in that division. If there's ever been a true gatekeeper, Neil Magny is him. Brendan Allen was able to get the very impressive submission victory over Bruno Silva. He was able to beat him up on the feet. I mean, he was cracking him with nasty shots. He looked like he had his range, and everything just looked very crisp on Brendan Allen. Then he got him to the ground and was able to do some good cage work, get him down, choke him out. Easy night in the office for Brendan Allen. Brendan Allen, he's one of the guys who are starting to show their class. I mean, he has submission wins over Kevin Holland. He has like 10 rear naked choke victories. I mean, he's a legitimate threat in this middleweight division, and he's one of the guys I want to see fight in the top 15 now. David Onama had a really good performance. He survived some pretty bad positions he was put in and was able to get the TKO victory. Maycee Barber was able to get the win over Amanda Ribas in a barn burner of a fight. I mean, guys, you don't see girl fights this often where they're ending in nosebleeds and it's as bloody as it can get. I mean, they were both opened up, they were both busted up, they were both landing good shots. Maycee Barber looked better than she ever has, to be honest, in my opinion. Amanda Ribas, I thought that was going to be a pretty tough fight for her, but Amanda Ribas ended up getting cracked a couple of times. Maycee Barber did a really good job of throwing her shots after her kicks and countering her kicks with shots as well, and she just looked more educated, a more educated striker. She was able to get it down to the ground and really land some brutal ground and pound on her, and I think that the ref actually did do a pretty good job of stopping the fight. I think Ribas was tougher than most people expected. I think Amanda Ribas was still fighting in there, and you might have to give her a little bit more time to just work because she had her hands locked. She was still aware, she was conscious, you know. Maybe some people would let that go on a little bit longer, but you really don't want to see a girl take that kind of punishment, especially from a girl who hits as hard as Maycee Barber, because she does hit hard. That is 5 wins in a row for Maycee Barber in this flyweight division, and I'm really interested to see who she fights next. Maycee Barber should be sitting at number 8 now, or 9, because that's where Amanda Ribas was. She moved from 11 to 9. I'd like to see her fight number 8 in Jennifer Maia, or I know that some of you want to see her get a little bit closer to the title with her next matchup, so why not fight a Jessica Andrade? I think that's a really good fight. I think Jessica might be done with 115 after her last loss to Yan Xiaonan. However, UFC usually matches up winners with winners and people who've lost with people who've lost. Erin Blanchfield just got rescheduled with Tyler Santos. Manon Farrow is scheduled with Rose Namajunas, so there's really nobody in that top 5 coming off of a win, which is why I think that she'll either fight Jennifer Maia or Jessica Andrade. However, Jessica Andrade, don't know how soon she's gonna come back, and if she's not coming back very soon, then we might have to see Maycee Barber versus Lauren Murphy. When you're at the top, a lot of times if you do lose, you still are fighting someone who is coming up, so that win-win, loss-loss thing usually only happens maybe 10 and below. When you're trying to crack into that top 10, top 5, a lot of times you will be facing people off of a loss or a win, so anything kind of goes. And now for the main event, Ilia Topuria versus Josh Emmett. So Ilia Topuria ended up getting the win. It was a brutal fight, brutal victory. Josh Emmett showed an immense amount of toughness to where I don't understand how he was still in the fight, eating all those shots, but somehow he survived. We all knew he was tough. We all knew he had power. Ilia almost got cracked a few times there himself, or really he did get cracked a few times there himself. Showed off some durability and freshness in his youth. However, this is kind of how I saw the fight going, man. I saw that Ilia was going to try and attack his lead leg because Josh keeps that very wide stance, whether it's inside or outside leg kicks. And then I obviously saw him trying to box with Josh Emmett, and vice versa, Josh Emmett trying to do the same thing. However, they both, I feel like, went in there kind of with the same game plan. I felt like Josh Emmett needed to add in a little bit more of the grappling, not necessarily to get him to the ground, but to just put him on the cage and to wear him down and to, you know, not let him be as fresh and not let him dictate the fight as much as he wanted to, right? Because Ilia Topuria was just a better boxer in there. There needed to be some adjustments. There needed to be some more work from the corner telling him what he was doing wrong, not just telling him that he's still in this fight. He wasn't lacking on heart. Josh Emmett is never going to lack on heart. I don't think it was very good corner advice for his people to be telling him, oh, you're still in this. You're still in this. He knows. As long as he's still in there, as long as he still has 2 rocket ships for hands, Josh Emmett is always still in the fight, and I think everyone there kind of knew that. However, we can't take away from Ilia Topuria because Ilia Topuria showed off a masterclass of boxing. Although I'm not a big fan of that Philly shell being used in MMA, it was pretty. It was pretty, and it was a beautiful display. He was just dropping that right hand on Josh every time he tried to enter the pocket, which then made Josh Emmett be on the back foot. And every time he was circling to the right, he ended up getting cracked with that right hand. He had a real problem seeing that right hand come straight down the pipe. He wasn't able to kind of slip it. I thought that if he was gonna crack Ilia, it was gonna be off of overhand. But with him getting that head off the center line to slip that cross and throwing the overhand the same time that Ilia throws his right hand, and then obviously following it up with the left hook. But you know, it's a lot easier said than done, and Josh Emmett's eye was already closed by the point that I started seeing that opening. So who knows what he saw in there. I mean, Ilia Topuria is a bro, that guy is good. And I've been saying this for a little while now. I've been saying this since before he fought Bryce Mitchell. I mean, this guy, he works the body very well, in which he did against Josh Emmett today. He wasn't headhunting. He every time he touched Josh Emmett, it seemed like he landed. He was very, very accurate. Maybe the most accurate guy in terms of his hands in the division. And how do I see him stacking up with Volk or Yair next? Whoever wins out of them two. I mean, he said he could fight Max, and I would like to see that fight, but Max is already scheduled with TKZ. If Volk wins against Yair, then he'll be fighting Volk. If Yair beats Volk, aren't they going to do a rematch? So I don't know where Ilia really goes from here, but I know that I'm watching his next fight. I know that if he does fight Yair Rodriguez, that's going to be a tough fight because Yair's going to kick his legs. I think that Ilia and Josh Emmett both kind of had similar awarenesses in terms of defense. As far as the kicks were concerned, they both leave their lead leg right there and don't check many kicks, partially because they're trying to counter the leg kicks with punches or grappling, but also partially just because of their stance. They're both naturally more hand heavy and more boxing heavy. So I think that that's something that they can both work on, and that's something that Yair Rodriguez, if he wins, will be trying to take advantage of, or Volk, if he wins, will be trying to take advantage of. I don't think it'll be a first round knockout if Ilia fights against Alexander Volkanovski next. I don't see either of them really knocking each other out in one round. I think it'll be a barn burn. I think it'll be a really good fight, but that's another fight I see going 3 or 4 rounds, if not the whole distance. Volk is a very, very intelligent fighter, and if Ilia takes the same approach that he did against Josh Emmett, which he won't. I'm aware that Ilia is also very intelligent. Ilia is one of the best in the world, but if he does take that same approach, that boxing heavy approach, it's not going to go too well. That's kind of what Max tried to do, and every time Max tried to do that, rather than following up with the head kicks, then Max got beaten pretty decisively, both in the first and the third fight. Now, who do I think wins out of Volkanovski and Yair Rodriguez? Man, that can go either way, because if Volkanovski and Ilia Topuria, if they're susceptible to one thing, it's head kicks. It's head kicks. That's how we've seen Volk be hurt. That's how we've seen Ilia be hurt. Josh Emmett, he threw 1 head kick in that fight. 1 head kick. And it landed on the guard. So why not keep throwing more of them? I mean, yes, that's not his style. Yes, it takes a lot of energy, but the hands by themselves weren't working. He tried to add up on some low kicks, but he tried that starting off too late. If you're going to add up on low kicks, it has to be at the beginning of the fight, where it's really going to take a big effect and really going to change the outcome of the fight. If you try and start kicking the legs in the last 3 rounds, it's not going to do too much for you. However, man, like I said before, wherever Ilia goes, I'm watching. He's exciting. He is, can you call him a phenom? 26 years old? He's a phenom. Black belt, crazy hands, needs a little bit better awareness with the kicks, but as far as striking and grappling is concerned, man, he's a problem. And when I say a problem, not just for any contenders, but for any champion as well. Volk or Yair, they both have their hands full, or Max. It's or Max. They could be fighting, and either way it goes, it's a tough fight for anybody. That featherweight division is just stacked right now. That's why I can't really see him definitely being champion. One day he will definitely be champion, but in the next 2 years, who knows? Guys, thank you for watching my videos, and thank you for sticking around until the end, and thank you for liking, commenting, and subscribing. With that being said, y'all stay safe, y'all stay blessed. Don't forget to check out some of my other videos that you might see pop up after I'm done talking here. Again, stay safe, stay blessed, watch these videos, and tell your friends to watch too. Peace.